Hey everybody, welcome to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 195, and hopefully you didn't hear the plane overhead, but if you did, sorry. Regardless, Aaron, when we go into this week of hockey, last episode, we talked about what the expectations were for the Sharks, and you were fairly optimistic. You thought they were going to pull 3 points out of the 3 games somehow, some way. Maybe a little recklessly optimistic there, but I was a little more cautious. I didn't even think we were going to get any points, but I did say, maybe we'll get one, right? I was trying to match enthusiasm there. Obviously, a mistake on my part. The Sharks only go with 0 points on the week, which is kind of expected. Yet again.
Just adding up the L's all season long. To their credit, they started off hot. I thought the first period in LA, they looked good. They looked like a team that had been on a losing streak, and the coach had been yelling at them enough that they, would fix their kind of mistakes that were going on, which they did. They looked great the first period. I thought they kind of gave it to the Kings a little bit. In fact, Kevin Fiala got benched in the first period by LA, one of their top players, because he was playing so poorly because the Sharks were on top of their game.
See, that makes me happy.
Right.
Hearing that.
It started off great.
It's the little things.
Right. Yeah.
But the Sharks, they do a great job in the first period, as Aaron said. They outscored them 1-0. Mm-hmm. They outshot them 8-4 in the first. They outchanced them 9-2 in the first.
Unheard of.
They look like, they belonged
right.
for just a brief moment. Right? 20 minutes, they belonged in the NHL. And then the second period happened, which actually, all things considered, and you look at the advanced stats, they weren't completely blown away, but you get 3 of them scored on you in that period out of the 5.
The Kings absolutely dominated that from after the first period. Second, third period, they turned it on. They said, okay, it's time. It's time to put these Sharks away and not be embarrassed, not to be added to the list of the short list of teams that the Sharks have beaten. So. They came out and scored 3 unanswered and then 2 more in the third. Just brutal game.
But looking at that first period again, we're trying to look at the bright side of things here. The pick that Zetterlund had, I think it was Fiala, and that's probably why he got benched.
Yes.
Was he was cutting across the blue line? He did his little cutesy drop pass to whoever it was that was on the blue line, supposed to be bringing the puck in. Unfortunately, did not see Zetterlund there. Fortunately for the Sharks, Zetterlund grabs the puck, takes off. Nice little move, comes from I believe from right going towards the left, and then shoots it back towards the right, and just beats the goalie with a very clean, very nice shot. And again, a good way to cap off that first period, getting out of there with a 1-0 lead and leading in most categories. The other thing is the Sharks, I don't know about this game specifically, but I think in general the Sharks have been doing very good on faceoffs as well, which is also kind of interesting that the team has been as bad as they have been, yet they start the draw with the puck, or they start the play with the puck more often than not.
It's kind of sad, isn't it? Like, the results should be better since they're controlling the play. In fact, last week, David Quinn got really angry at a goal that was scored against because the Sharks had won the faceoff in their defensive zone, gave it away, and ended up in the back of the net. And that was one thing that he specifically called out, saying that should not happen. You win the faceoff in your own zone, you get the puck out. You are in control, and that shouldn't happen. So, it still happens. They win faceoffs, and they just still can't put it all together. It's coming. It's slowly coming.
So the Kings end up winning the second period and winning the game, but they really didn't just dominate. It was a massacre in the third period by the advanced stats. And we take a look at some of the other numbers here. They outshot the Sharks by 13-4. It was just, again, they completely dominated on the shot clock there in terms of possession. Scoring chances for 17-1 and high danger chances 8-0. I think in the first period, the Sharks actually had them 3-0 in terms of high danger chances. But in that third, it was just all Kings all the time. The Sharks pretty much watching the game. So, again, they started off okay, and it just kind of nosedived.
They took their foot off the gas. That was the problem. They were like, oh, this is unusual territory for us, going up a goal and at the end of the period, not down a goal, and then didn't know what to do with it and gave it away.
kind of the story of most of the games this season. You take a look at, again, there are times when the Sharks are just not the better team, and I get it, right? You just get flat out beat. But there are other times where we've talked about them being the team that will keep coming after you. They won't give up. This just not one of those games, apparently. We look at, again, consistency is one of the main things at the NHL level that you're looking for out of any player, individual, right? Mm-hmm. If he could be a consistent goal scorer, a consistent, that's what keeps you in the league, is doing the thing that you do well all the time, right? Unfortunately, the thing that makes a team consistent is everybody playing the same way, and that just wasn't the case against the Kings. Again, all falls apart in that third period. And even before that, when they got 3 goals scored on them, I think that might have been the dagger there. So, in any case, moving on from the Kings game, this is one that you thought, because they were 27th in the league, that the Sharks might actually have an opportunity, I think, to pick up a win here. It's funny because we'll go back and we'll revisit this, but what Aaron had thought was the Kings game would be a close game, the Edmonton game would be a win, and the Colorado game would be a blowout. And that's where you're getting the 3 points from, 1 from the Kings, 2 from Edmonton, and 0 from Colorado. It was completely backwards, and we'll get to the Colorado game, but that was completely backwards in this one. 5-0 Edmonton absolutely destroys the Sharks. I mean, you had Magnus Krona getting his first start, though.
Yeah, Magnus Krona, first of all, Blackwood got sick.
Yeah.
I think he said it was 3 days where he had a fever, he was the chills, everything, just really bad sickness. That's been going around too. So they had to kind of emergency call Krona, not emergency call, but they had to call him up from the Barracuda. And Kakkonen had just played the night before. That's the other part. It was kind of a scheduled loss in a way, because they were, granted it was in LA, it wasn't like it was far, but traveling still, they have to get on a plane, travel back to San Jose, and then you're playing a game the next night against the best players in the world, McDavid and Draisaitl. So tough situation to be in. Magnus Krona, the poor guy, his family was in town, in the country, from Sweden. I think he's Swedish. I could be wrong. Someone could fact check that.
Someone's gonna fact check.
Yeah, totally. Sure. They're in town for Christmas and the New Year's, and they're hanging out, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna get your first NHL start. This is great. We're gonna go to the game." And they, as in the entire Sharks, not just Magnus. Some of those goals. I think the first goal that he gave up kind of probably should have had a better chance. It was a good shot.
Okay.
He got beat that one. The other 3, he didn't really have a chance on. Just 4 goals in the first period, and he ends up getting the hook. So the poor guy only got 20 minutes of action in front of his family.
Yeah.
And his other NHL action was put in relief situation, and that was in that game where they had 10 goals against, and he still got 4 or 5 goals against. So his goals against average is not off to a good start.
I mean, both times he's played in the NHL for the Sharks, they just didn't show up for him. So it is kind of difficult to pin this one on the goaltending.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, did it really matter? Did it really matter that Magnus Krona was in net? I mean, I guess Capo came in and he only had 1 scored against him. But if he had simply started the game on a back-to-back, would they have fared any better?
That's tough, because they're going to Colorado and they weren't sure if Blackwood is going to be back in time either. So then you're really going to put too much stress on Kakkonen to 3 games in 4 nights. That's pretty rough, and one of those in altitude, not much recovery time. Poor Krona, he ended up with 6.67 save percentage. That's brutal. 4 goals on 12 shots. Yeah, you can't really pin the goalies. In fact, look at the plus minus here. Burrows and Ferraro. Plus minus isn't a great stat,
right?
But it is telling a little bit. Burrows was -5. He was on for every single goal here for Edmonton, and then Ferraro was -4. The other one was a Hoykchuk, -1. The rest of the defensemen, even. So they were on the ice. Those 3 were on the ice for every goal by Edmonton. Just can't get it done.
Wow.
It's just brutal, man.
And that's crazy. And when we'll talk about some of the defense that happens, or some of the defenders, rather, in the Colorado game, because there was an event there.
Yeah.
But you had talked about Burrows. Burrows actually not in the Colorado game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did they say why that was? I missed why he wasn't in that game.
No, I didn't miss it,
No,
too.
okay.
I didn't see it.
So it would have been interesting to know what happened there. But so in the Colorado game now, I guess we'll go ahead and move on.
Emberson came off of IR. He was on IR.
Okay.
So that could have been like trying to get him into a game, and Burles was at -5. So they're like, okay, I think time for take a seat, meet.
Yeah, and you would think that it's tough because if it's the goalie, if the goalie's having a rough go, right, then it should be any defenseman that's on the ice maybe picking up that minus as the game's going on. But if it's consistently that one player, now again, plus minus maybe not the best stat to look at,
right?
And we've certainly acknowledged that. But when it's a -5 and there's 5 goals scored, I think you could still look at that stat and pull some sort of narrative out of it, right?
At that point, Vlasic's like, really? Come on. Come on. I could do that.
Nick HBK is saying he's Swedish, by the way.
Oh, I was right.
You nailed it.
I was right.
Well done. It was either Swedish or Swiss. You know how Aaron is with these ones.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. That's very offensive, I'm sure, for at least 3 people on the stream right now.
Paul's very mad right now.
No, I'm not at all.
Not you. The other Paul.
Oh, okay, yeah.
My friend Paul Nielsen, who's
Swedish-Egyptian, actually.
Yes.
Swedish and Egyptian.
Are you sure he's not Swiss?
No, I'm pretty sure on that one. That would be the Swedish Chef impersonation from Super Jason right there. So yeah, let's go ahead and we can move on from the Edmonton game, I guess, because unless there's anything else to say, but
no, the Edmonton game was just brutal. That was another ugly game, and the Sharks just didn't seem like they wanted to be there at all. They were ready for New Year's, which they still had another game to go.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you ready for to go play in Colorado?
Christmas hangover? I don't know. I don't know how to excuse it.
Yeah,
just not good. It was ugly. Ugly game.
Well, like I said, there was an interesting defenseman development, if you will, in Colorado, and it was pretty much right away. Mario Ferraro gets hit by Nathan McKinnon, and he goes down the tunnel and does not return to the game. They end up saying he's out for the rest of the game with an upper body injury. We've talked about these ones before, where it's upper body, lower body, or just body injury. Sometimes
mid. Didn't someone say mid?
There was such a thing as a mid-body injury. I think one time they just flat out said it's a body injury, which I guess is good. It's not a mental health issue, I guess, right? Okay. Yeah. But Mario Ferraro goes out, and it's an interesting stat. Jan Ruta was one of the 5 defensemen that were left over. He's 33 years old. Correct. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Everybody else in the lineup, which would be Thrun, Emberson, Addison, and Okhoichuk, or Okhoichuk. I don't know if you pronounce the K or not, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, him, those 3 guys, 23 years of age or younger.
Yeah.
4 out of the 5 available defensemen, just 23 years of age.
I mean, if you don't have let's say one of those guys under 23 is a high-end draft pick, kind of like a blue chip prospect.
Like a Cal McCarr when he jumped in the league.
That's different.
Right.
Outside of those, you maybe have one of these in your lineup on a good team. And you're slowly bringing them in, getting some experience, maybe 10, 12 minutes, depending if maybe they're an offensive guy, they'll get some power play time or not. But you have 4 in the lineup for the Sharks. Now, I play the young kids, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people want to see what the young guys could do and just let it play out. They're going to be terrible, but they're going to figure it out. Yes and no. You're also playing against Colorado, a very, very highly talented, very highly talented offense that has, I don't want to say they sputtered, but they're not as dominant to shoot out the gate like they have been recently, but they still won a cup 2 seasons ago, right? Is that when they won?
It wasn't long ago, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Very recently. Yeah. So this is a team that is a Stanley Cup favorite, and with McKinnon, Rantanen, McCarr, these guys are just world-class players. So kudos to these guys, because this game was actually a fun game. They were in it for, I would say, the majority of the game. This is the kind of game that I want to see from the Sharks. It's close. It could go either way, but at that point, play as best as you can against the best players in the world, and you lose because you did what you could. That's how I felt out of this game. It wasn't so bad. Now, it sucks that Ferraro's going to be out.
Yeah.
I think he's going to miss some time. If you look at it, it was shoulder to shoulder. Nothing dirty about the hit at all. But it could be a couple things. It could be dislocated his shoulder. He could have tore something in his shoulder, or he could have broken his clavicle bone right here from getting hit from so quickly like that. So we don't know yet. I don't think they've announced anything yet what it could be.
I do recall in the replay. I think it was one of the announcers had said that there was knee contact on the inner thigh, and that could be it. But obviously, they said it's an upper body injury, so that's definitely not what it was.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, absolutely, it's something to do with the shoulder, the clavicle, whatever else it is, something in that area. How long that takes for him to recover obviously depends on what exactly happened, and we don't have any disclosure on what that might have been. As is normal in the NHL, they just tell you upper body injury, and that's pretty much all you get. So I did, however, hear. Well, we'll go on that topic in just a bit here. But so Thrun and Emberson actually got 20-something minutes of ice time.
Thrun was 25, and Emberson was 24, right behind him.
That is absolutely bonkers for such young defensemen who are not, again, at that level that Cale Makar or someone would be. These are guys that are kind of, hopefuls for the NHL, and on a good team probably wouldn't even be on the roster, right? So for these guys to step in and play that many minutes against a Colorado team in Colorado was pretty amazing. And I think you have some quote or something from David Quinn on these guys, if I recall.
Yeah, so this is David Quinn talking about, this is after the game, their 20-minute plus efforts tonight. He said, "You're talking about two guys who, before the season started, had about 8 games of NHL experience. Remember, they were both on 2 different teams last year, stuck in the depth chart. They couldn't make the lineup, so they were stuck in the NHL. And to throw them out there against this team and play the minutes they did against the players they did and hold up the way they did really bodes well for us moving forward. I thought Henry was outstanding. He was really good against Edmonton. He's just playing a really smart game. He's a great kid. He's a part of our future. We claimed Ty earlier in the year. He never played an NHL game, and he started feeling his way early in the first few games. But when he got hit early in December, he might have been out. He might have been one of our top 2 defensemen. To come in and play the way he did after being out as long as he did was impressive." Thank you for that. By the way, Shang Penn, I'm going to give you some credit there because he's the one that transcribed that after the game. We no longer have video clips from
Which
the
is
Sharks.
a shame.
Yeah, because they're not taking them. Not like they're giving us access to it, but they're not taking the video. So
Yeah.
I couldn't get the video clip like I wanted to.
So I believe they call that a hat tip. To
Right.
Shang
Yes.
Peng. So thank you, Shang. Well done, buddy. Some very inspiring words from Coach Quinn on these 2 young players. Again, you know how I feel, guys. I like Henry Thrun, Grand Admiral Thrun, if you will. I really like this guy. I think he's got a lot of promise for a future. Maybe not right now, but I'm really hoping in just a couple of short years here, him getting an opportunity to continue playing with the big club, continue to grow, learn from some veterans. Hopefully we bring some guys in that can kind of help out as well. I know Jan Ruda's there, and certainly Marc-Edouard Vlasic and Mario Ferraro are good role models. Long career from Vlasic. You can say what you want about his contract, but the guy was a staple in the NHL forever. And it's not another good guy to learn the ropes from. So a good role model there. But yeah, hopefully Henry Thrun just continues to do what he does, and it just becomes, again, a mainstay on this roster, as I really hope and I really do think that he's got some really good potential to be one of the main guys on this roster. Maybe not a top 2, obviously, but
I think
one of those,
4.
Yeah, one of those top 4, or a depth type of guy that is just really reliable, So really looking forward to see his future. Now, Ty Emberson, you said Coach Quinn had said that he was one of their top 2 before he got injured earlier in the season. Did you see him that way? I don't know that I saw him as one of those top defensemen on the team necessarily.
Well, you could say he didn't stand out in a bad way
Fair
on
enough.
a very bad team. That kind of makes you stand out. Granted, you're not the offensive defenseman that gets you, it's not as flashy, so you're not going to get as much attention. But at the same time, you're holding your own as a 23-year-old who's never played in the NHL. This is his first games. He didn't play at all last year or before that. So to come in here and do that, and he was a 3rd round pick by Arizona back in 2018. So imagine giving up. I mean, I think he was traded. I'm not going to go through his whole history here.
Right.
But, he got claimed off for waivers by the Sharks from the Rangers. So funny that it's from the Rangers, right? Because Quinn has some ties there, I'm sure. So does Greer. So
Probably saw something he liked and put a good word in.
Exactly. Or he probably just knows, like, the system, like, the people that are coming up in the system, like, you know, in the back of his head knows. Anyway, just speculating now. But anyway, great pickups by the Sharks. Another couple wins here by Greer for picking up these two players. Yeah. And Emberson for free because he was waivers. And Thrun gave up a third-round pick, I believe, to Anaheim. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was Anaheim for sure. I think it might have been a third, yeah. I'm sure Nick will jump in there and, why don't you guys remember? But, yeah.
It's because I remember too many other trades from the decades of being a Sharks fan. It's just too much knowledge in my brain. Not enough room.
Wow. He's humble, folks.
Sorry,
humble.
Too much useless knowledge is what I meant to say. Too much useless knowledge in my head already.
Clarify. Before we move on with some of the other things, we're talking a little bit about the guys that are on the IR, and it's staggering, and I think is a good way to kind of segue into that. I did go to one of the practices recently. I wish I gave super producer Jason one of the images that I have. I should have done it. Dang. I know. Oh, you hear him in the background. No, so we were at Sharks Ice for a tournament from like Wednesday through like Saturday.
Last week?
No, this week.
Okay.
Last week I guess you could say. So, and both my sons were playing in this tournament and everything. So when all was said and done, actually my oldest, his team ended up winning it. So yay, go nice. 10A Cougars, rock and roll, baby. And the 10BB Cougars did awesome, but they got knocked out by their older club, the A club, because the BBs and the A's had to play together. They didn't have enough teams.
Yeah.
So both of them did really awesome, but yes, the 10A's did win it. However, where I was going with this was that all the kids went to the Sharks practice afterwards because the Sharks were practicing. So it was cool. We had like all these Cougar players that were huddled around watching the Sharks doing their thing and seeing the speed and the size and the aggression and the power. And it was like, you guys ready to play at this level? You know? But so we were watching them practice, and Logan Couture's out there. And he's participating like fully. Now, he didn't dress up for the power play units because he's not going to be on the power play unit because he's not ready to play just yet. But everything else he was completely participating in. So it was very encouraging to see the captain out there doing his thing. Now, obviously, he's been on the IR for the entire season so far, and that is the perfect segue into the next topic here. Now, Aaron, the Sharks have got a lot of guys on the IR, and we had just said that, the stat basically for the Sharks is that they've gone the entire season, and the only team that's gone the entire season without having a fully healthy roster at some point in the season. So kind of go through the guys that have been out. I know you've got this really cool graphic and everything else to put up. So let the folks know about the Sharks and their injury reserve troubles.
Sure. I mean, people kind of know this if they've been paying attention and watched the Sharks. But 36 games played by the Sharks. There's this cool graphic here that shows you how much... what is this? How many cap hit of the injured players here? The Sharks are at number one at 7.1. I mean, most of that is Couture. That's his $7 million. It's been out the whole time. But lost wins above replacements to 1.3. It's not drastic because the Sharks are so bad.
We
but
weren't
it is
supposed to win anyway.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, they're at the top here. San Jose, 190 man games lost. That means if you take up however long, like Couture's been gone for all 36 games, and then all the other guys, it adds up to 190. That is the most. Montreal is in second with 165. Wow. They do not count Carey Price in that because he's on long-time IR for Montreal. So that is not including Carey Price, in case people are wondering.
Wow.
And they took out some other players as well that are just kind of buried or retired, but still on the kind of books in a way. Just so it doesn't skew the stats. Now, this other one is, I think, a little bit more interesting here. This is this other chart here. It shows you the teams that have been healthy. So blue is good.
Okay.
Blue is good on this chart.
Blue good.
Orange and red are not good. If you look at San Jose, they're kind of, what is that, 6 from the top? It's orange the whole way through. It starts to get a little clear, and then or beige, and then it gets kind of more orange, yellow, beige, darker beige. I don't know. Now, interesting note, St. Louis is leading the league with the healthiest. So H means everyone is fully healthy. You have nobody on on IR.
Yeah.
And they have only missed, 2 games total with somebody on the IR. So they've been very healthy, completely contrasting what the San Jose Sharks have been doing. I mean, St. Louis, the Sharks have 7.06 on IR. I guess that's the average, maybe.
Okay.
St. Louis has $140,000 on IR. That's how much money.
Jeez.
That's it. So, not excusing the Sharks. I'm not going to say they're going to be like a playoff team if they're healthy, but they're certainly not helping themselves by being injured. Now, I'm saying like they're being injured on purpose or anything, but also not excusing it in the same way.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and it adds up. And this is a roster that if you're missing 1 or 2 guys, especially your key guys, it's not going to go well.
Yeah,
you don't really have a fighting chance.
Let's say you're missing Mario Ferraro. Now you're relying on 4 23 and under year olds to man your blue line. So and your best defensive center is out, right? The leader, your captain, is out,
and your second defensive center. Don't forget, Nico Sturm's been out.
That's true.
Matt Benning has also been out.
Superstar,
right?
Matt Benning, by the way.
Giovanni Smith. Jacob McDonald is now on IR.
By the way, Giovanni Smith was out during that practice. He was working hard too, so hopefully he's on the mend and will be coming back soon enough. He was actually practicing with Nico Sturm. The two of them, after the practice was over, they were out there working on some drills with Coach Artem, who is actually one of the coaches that teaches the kids, some of the Cougar kids, including my son. He's awesome, by the way. So Coach Artem, if you happen to be watching, you're awesome, and good luck with the rehabilitating those couple players there. They're in good hands for sure. So anyway, go ahead, fire away.
That's it. That's all I got. That was the end.
We have fired away.
We could do let's do our roll call.
Before we do the roll call, Super Tuesdays, can you pull up the first chart from that with the $10 million and everything else? Because there was something interesting there that I saw. It's not the one with the blue H's and everything else. It was the previous one. That one there, yeah. So I thought this was really interesting if you take a look.
Yep.
So you said the losses, the L WAR column, right?
Yeah. Lost wins above replacement.
Right. So 1.3, but $7 million is out. So it didn't really affect us at all because we're such a bad team. But when you look at like Vegas, again, $7 million, pretty much the same amount in terms of cap hit that's out. But it cost them what, 4.39 games?
That's wins. So the guys who are out, it tells you like the what's it called?
I'm saying it cost them that many wins, 4.39 wins.
Yes.
So those games where they should have won.
Yes.
Right. So that's what, 9 points or so in the standings. Yeah. I mean, that's real, right? That's a good chunk. So for them to be missing a $7 million player is a big deal because their club is a decent club. Our club, it didn't really matter.
Colorado's another one at 3.06. That's pretty high. Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting that for the same amount of money, it's not the same amount of wins that you would be losing because when you're just such a bad team, it really doesn't matter how much money you're losing out on you're missing from your roster.
Yep.
You're probably not going to be playing that well anyway. So just thought that was interesting. Yay! Look at the screen. Yay! Anyway, you wanted to do a roll call right now, and then we'll talk about the next topic, or
yeah, let's do it.
Go ahead. What is the roll call question? What were we going to do?
I don't know. Tell us where you're watching from.
It's always good.
And I don't know.
Like a World Juniors thing? Because we're going to talk about World Juniors.
Sure. World Juniors. Who are you watching? Who are you rooting for? Who do you think's going to win? One of those. How about that?
Yeah, just give us whatever you want on World Juniors. Give us your thoughts on World Juniors. Do you think the USA is going to win? Do you think Sweden is the strongest team? Sweden's looking real strong right now. I'm surprised Canada isn't looking nearly as strong as I thought they were going to.
I didn't think Canada was
really.
They have Celebrini, obviously,
right?
But I think outside of him, that team was not strong. I mean, they're not terrible, but I don't think they were like dominant compared to Sweden. Sweden, I think, is more of the dominant team all around.
Fair enough. Okay, well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about World. Oh, hey, got you guys. Didn't see you were going live. Happy New Year. Oh, Happy New Year, Grandizer 12. Yes, absolutely. I just forgot. Like, today is January 1st.
It is actually New Year.
Have we ever had a show on New Year's Day? I don't know that we have.
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have. So this is a first for us. Malachi Nunes is the same thing. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you guys. Do appreciate. Oh,
did you?
Debbie Smith. Hi everyone. Happy New Year. Yes, of course.
Did you watch the game today?
The World Juniors game?
No.
Oh,
the outdoor game.
The Winter Classic.
Yeah.
Whatever. Nah.
I didn't watch it.
That's okay.
I was just wondering if you did. I didn't want to watch Vegas. I didn't want to Seattle.
Do you know how it ended up? Do you know the
I looked because of fantasy.
Okay.
So it was 3-0 Seattle.
Seattle. Okay.
Yeah, they shut out Vegas.
That makes me happy.
Great.
That makes me happy. So just hearing that here, I'm happy. I didn't need to watch game.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you for the update.
It's kind of a boring game. 3-0. Like
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh well. Sharks prospects in the World Juniors. Again, we talked about this kind of last episode in terms of the players and where they are, but we take a look at how they've been doing so far in the tournament. We look at Team USA, Will Smith. He's got himself in 4 games played. He's got himself 2 goals and an assist for 3 points. Not bad. Was hoping for a lot more out of him, actually. I don't know if this is considered disappointing necessarily, but I feel like there are certainly other players on Team USA's roster that have shown far brighter than the 4th overall pick from last season, Will Smith. Sharks' top prospect right now. So I kind of just want to get your reaction on just that alone. Were you expecting more out of him, or is this kind of like, who cares really?
I don't want to say who cares. I mean, you always want to see your prospects kind of doing more than not doing anything. Right. So it kind of sucks that he's only got 3 points, but you know that team's pretty stacked. So I don't think they're not leaning on him. Not compared to like Celebrini, leading Canada, right? Yeah. He kind of has to. I don't think he has to be the guy there. So I don't know, man. I think he's still going to be a good player, but I don't think he's going to be. It just really sucks because I wish the Sharks got one of the top 3 in this last draft. Instead, they got 4th, which is Will Smith. So he's just going to be a good player. Now, think a good player, maybe down the line, think someone like. Maybe Logan Couture?
I was going to say, Logan was picked, what, 9th?
9th?
Yeah.
So similar to Logan. Logan is a great player.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. He's not a bad player.
He's been an all-star.
He's been an all-star maybe once or twice. Yeah. That could be like Will Smith. He's not going to be Fantilli, who's going to be probably making all-star games like throughout his career, right?
Yeah.
There's a different tier of player. So he's going to be good, just not dominant good. So that's what I'm expecting. Now I'm hoping, if they get Celebrini in the draft, the Sharks, they will be set because Will Smith could be the future second line center, and then you have Celebrini in the first. So that would be dominant. That kind of gets me more excited about the future of the Sharks if that were to happen, But that's why I'm not so mad about Will Smith being not dominant. I'm just like, okay, that's what it is. That's fine. Dealing with it.
So let me get this straight though, because pretty much the entire time we've been talking about Celebrini, you've been going, no fan should be getting their hopes up.
No, I know, but you understand my point. Like, I'm not expecting Will Smith to be the answer.
Yes.
For the Sharks.
Okay.
He will be one of the many answers. Okay. Not kind of like Eklund. Eklund is going to be a great player. He's just not going to be dominating the league and leading the league at any point. Or at any time in their career.
I tend to agree with you. However, I will say I am very pleasantly surprised with his dominance with the puck. And even without the puck,
who are you talking about?
Eklund.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very pleasantly surprised at such a young age how much he's developed, how much he's grown.
What do they call him? Slippery Pete.
Slippery Pete. Slick Rick.
Slick.
They call him.
Sorry,
his name's not Pete either, right? So that's whatever. Anyway, so for me with Will Smith, again, he's not even on the roster yet, so let's not freak out, right? He's playing in the World Juniors. He's doing okay, just under a point per game so far. Hopefully, he gets a little bit more as the tournament goes on. We'll see. But it is kind of disappointing, again, to have a guy that was picked so high up not being in the conversation as one of the best players on that team. So, again, we'll just have to continue to watch and continue to check and see how he's doing. But another guy on that roster who's having a pretty decent run as well, Eric Polkamp. And he's a defenseman, but he's got 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points in those 4 games. So, another Shark defenseman who's looking pretty promising at a very young age. I don't think we want to bring him in anytime soon because we've got our already a whole bunch of barely 23-year-olds on the team. So I think we'll let him grow just a little bit more before we even consider that, right? Yeah, there we go. There's Eric Polkamp.
I don't think he'll be. He'll probably stay in college. Maybe another year.
Yeah,
there's no rush for him.
Absolutely.
So,
No, we got some stats.
On the here we go. Too. Here's some stats.
Oh, the whole thing. Look at that. All right. Well, we'll just keep going. Jake Furlong for Team Canada. I'm skipping around a little bit here, but Jake Furlong for Team Canada. He has 4 games played, and he was a +4. Again, plus minus. Not exactly the best stat, but that seems to be all he's been able to do is just stay on the better end of the puck going in while he's on the ice, which is good. No problems there. I'm happy with that. Taking a look at Team Sweden. Beasted, 4 games played, 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. And Havlid, the defenseman, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. It's pretty funny.
Beasted is fun to watch.
He is, the first syllable of his name, Beast, absolutely. The dude is absolutely tearing it up. I've been very happy watching him. Now it's funny because he's only got 1 more goal than Will Smith does.
Right.
And it seems like, singing his praises over Will Smith. But certainly he's looked very good, very dominant, and that one-timer is pretty...
Yeah,
pretty amazing. Yeah, and I think it was what's his name, Havlid, who set him up a couple times for that one timer too. Pretty exciting.
B-Set's fun to watch because he's easy to watch because he's the largest guy in the ice usually. So it's easy to find him, and you're like, oh, there he is. Yep. And he's very good for how big he is, for how quick he is, because he's so large. It's just kind of weird and helps him dominate in a way, like over these younger, even younger, just smaller guys. The last guy here is Halttunen.
Oh, baby.
Oh, man. Go ahead.
4 games played. He's got the most points out of any of the Sharks prospects in this tournament right now. 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points. He is finding his groove. Now, the first time I watched him play, I didn't hear his name a whole heck of a lot, but it seems like whatever he's doing, it's working now. So I think he's kind of found his groove, and I'm looking forward to this guy really kind of breaking into the whole prospects camp, the training camp, right? All that stuff. I can't wait to see this guy come and play. So a very exciting Sharks prospect for me.
Sneaky Pete.
Slippery.
Slippery Pete?
Slippery
Grandizer
Pete.
said Sneaky Pete.
Oh, Grandizer. I think it's slippery. We'll see. By the way, I don't know if we've been seeing chat. I haven't seen much in the chat. Do you want to call out some of the chat stuff? Because we were just asking about this. Hey guys, no, I see Grandizer says sneaky. I don't think it's sneaky. I think it's slippery.
I don't know.
Well, we'll have to look that one up. Anyway, we were just talking about all these prospects and whatnot. So we asked you guys as part of the roll call to let us know what your thoughts are. Aaron, were there any good comments about what people's thoughts are?
There is. I'll get to a couple of those about World Juniors and some other stuff. So, DA space T. Sweden versus Finland. Sweden had no answers for Kasper Halttunen. He is physical and, in my opinion, most impactful player on the ice. He's fun to watch. I love that. Let's see. Zephyr 530 is in Camino, El Dorado County. Team USA all the way. Love that they're sporting their 1960 jerseys. Bettman teased an upcoming World Cup during the Winter Classic today. Glad Vegas lost today also. I think we knew about the World Cup. They talked about it, at least getting the groundwork laid to get it happen. I think during the GM meeting in October, or November. I can't remember when they got together. Okay. But that was kind of one of the talking points that they wanted to do another World Cup. And again, it comes down to money, like it usually does. And more importantly, insurance. Like if a player in the NHL, the NHL takes a break so that they can play this World Cup, and they leave to go play for their country, and that player gets hurt, who's responsible for that injury?
Yeah.
For surgeries, whatever. So that's kind of where they always get hung up on, especially with Olympics, because Olympics are like, we don't want to spend the money. It's like, well, then you're not going to get our players.
Makes sense.
Sorry, I lost my spot here. Drew O. I like how B-Stead has played. He's made big plays on both sides of the game. T again. B-Stead and Havlid also look solid. All areas to work on, but solid foundations. And going back a little bit here, Colin C28. Does Gavanki get recalled if Mario is out for a while?
I probably not, only because in that game we had 5 defensemen that were in. None of them were Vlasic, and none of them were Guy that got
Ruta?
-5. No.
Oh, McDonald or
So you just named another guy, McDonald.
oh my gosh.
And then
McDonald's on IR.
Burrows. I couldn't think of his name. Holy.
Sorry.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, we've got a lot of defensemen already, and I think as long as they're healthy, now there may be an IR in there somewhere, but as long as they're healthy, yeah, I don't think so. I think they just kind of go with one of those guys and plug them into the lineup.
I think Vlasic would come back in.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. Just because he's a little bit more defensive-minded, has some more experience, a lot more experience, than bringing up yet another young guy to play.
And that's just it. See, and now I think if those guys that were 22 and 23 years old were actually like 28, 30, right? They had some veteran NHL experience. They just weren't maybe like cream of the crop. Yeah, sure. Then I could see bringing in a young guy that might be able to help out. But you've got like more than half your defensive core is, less than under 24 years old. I don't know that the right idea is to bring in another young guy necessarily who doesn't quite have the experience. Now, I would love to see both Gavanke and Mukmadulin getting a shot in the show sometime this season, in fact.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
I think that'll come later.
Probably.
Once more players are dealt out,
Yeah.
I think we'll see them come up.
That is a good point. I think we're going to find out when the trade deadline comes around, just if these guys are going to get the shot or not. And I think absolutely you've got to give them a look. They're doing so great, at least right now. They're doing so great at the AHL level. Why not give them a game here or there? You're not going to ruin their confidence by calling them up for a couple of games, even if they get smoked, and you push them back down again. I don't think you're going to kill their confidence or anything, right? You kill confidence when you put them in the show and you leave them there and they're just constantly getting hammered night in, night out. But when you give them that cup of coffee, right, I don't think it's gonna hurt their confidence whatsoever. So yeah, I would love to see sometime this season. Probably going to see it after the trade deadline, like I said. Them getting the opportunity to come in and show the Sharks and David Quinn and Mike Greer what they have to offer at the show.
We're also going to see some of these guys that are finishing up college what is that, end of March, kind of early April. There's usually a handful of games left in the season. They'll sign their contracts with Sharks and then play a couple games. We saw that. Well, one of the best examples was Cale Makar coming off of Hobie Baker win, I believe, and the Colorado Avalanche were playing the Sharks in the playoffs in the second rounds.
And they brought him in.
And he was a game changer because he wasn't there the first game. He obviously not the first series, but first game or two he wasn't there, and then he showed up, and it was a completely different team.
Yeah.
And that series went to 7 games, and that was like a holy cow, this team is going to be a good team in a couple of years once this kid is a little bit older and more mature. And like he was already kind of there. So anyway, it's something like that. Now, the Sharks aren't making playoffs, but there could be some of these guys that are coming in.
So there's no pressure. They're not going to make the playoffs, right? So there's no pressure.
Right, but it's also funny because those guys are coming in right off their NCAA season, right?
Yeah.
They're finishing college. They're in shape. They're ready to go. The speed is a little bit different.
But
they're
a
only getting
lot bit different.
But they're only getting about 10 games.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Like, give or take a little bit. 10 games. Let's say they get like 6 to 8 points in those 10 games. Everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to be a 50-point defenseman next season.
Yeah.
But then they play a full 82-game season. It's not happening. At that point in their careers, they've never played that many games. I think the most anyone will play is usually about 60. That's 20 game difference. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And they're spaced out a little bit more. So they're not so condensed like the NHL schedule.
And you're up against college level athletes,
Yes.
not, grown men who have been doing this for, the majority of their lives and are bigger, faster, stronger in every single way. Right. I think one of the main things they always talk about is that the NHL, even AHLers talking about the difference between the AHL and the NHL, let alone college, right, is the speed of the game. Not just 0 to 60 speed, but the fact that even with the puck,
Quickness.
You've got a guy, you've got him dead to rights, and all of a sudden he's gone,
Yeah.
right? And it has nothing to do with necessarily being, the McDavids, I believe, the fastest skater, but it's the quickness with which they can move and just disappear on you.
Well, that and stick handling and just decision making is so much quicker and harder. And I mean, I deal with that in soccer. The same thing. Like the difference between D1 and D2 in college, because I was in D2, was like the game speed. That's about it.
Yeah.
And even the pros, it's like, wow, like skill wise, we can hang with these guys, but the speed and the way that they make their decisions and how quick it is, it's like it's unbelievably quick. It's like to them, they're playing in slow motion. To us, it's like, oh my God, it's going so fast.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's interesting that you bring up soccer, actually, because we will be bringing up a soccer-related thing in just a moment. Are we done with the World Juniors talk and all that kind of things?
Yes.
All right, very good. Hey, guys, thanks again for giving us all of your comments for that, the roll call and everything else. We appreciate that. Again, it's a lot more fun when you guys are in here talking it up with us. So real quick, I want to plug all of our socials and whatnot. If you guys can check us out on all of the social media stuff that we have there. I think Super Jason's got a little button and he clicks for all that stuff. Also, if you'd like to support the show, feel free. Feel free to go to thefinfactor.com. As he's put down there, you can check out any of the stuff that we have for sale and the support the show link. It's got hoodies, hats, water bottles, fanny packs. I think we're actually sold out of fanny packs, which is amazing.
Wow.
Thank you for selling us out of fanny pack. I would not have guessed. Do we have like 2 fanny packs? Is that
Polos.
why? Polos.
Sweatshirts.
Keep going. What else do we have?
Stickers.
We have stickers, yeah, for your toasters. We don't sell the toasters, but we just make them pretty. And then if you'd like to support the show other ways, you can do that with Super Chat function, or as he's put down on the bottom of the screen, you can tip us on Venmo at the Fin Factor. Anything you put into either one of those in terms of a comment, we will read it out, even if it's a GIF and it's like cat rolling with a roar. What was that thing last time? Something about a hippopotamus, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It was goofy.
It was describing the GIF.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, we will read it out in the most awkward fashion humanly possible. So there you go.
We got a couple questions here. Paul and Aaron, this is from Grandizer. Do you think the Sharks' mini win streak in December was a fluke, or do you think we'll see that again this year? I think we see it again. I think we see a win streak. I'm not going to say like a 10-game win streak, but I think they'll string together some games. They'll get 3 or 4. Like some guys will come back healthy. The lineup would be good. Like especially when Couture comes back, I think they can get like 3-game win streaks going.
Remind me when the trade deadline is.
March.
If we're going to get a win streak going on,
February. It could be the end of January into February. Like they'll get some.
If we get a win streak going on, it's going to be one of those. I'm really trying to show other teams that they want me. To trade for me, so I have an opportunity to play. So there's going to be some guys who are basically going to be UFA or who are just looking to get out, who probably explode a little bit statistically, and those guys are. It's kind of like a contract year, right? Is it when you play in a contract year and your stats all of a sudden take a nice little jump, right? It's interesting how that works out. I think when these guys are looking to finally show those last little bits of teams that hey. You want me on your roster for your cup run, I think we'll see a little bit of a bump. Now, you might see a little bit of a run there, but otherwise, there's no reason to think this team should be going on any sort of a win streak, any sort of a run. I mean, we're on 8 games in a row now, I think, of losses.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. If it happens, it happens great, but realistically,
I still think it'll happen. They're not going to go on 10-game losing streaks all the time. They're gonna right the ship. It'll come back.
Pie to the face.
Pie to the face. Oh. He wants to know if you want to bet on it. I think is what he's saying.
What, a 3-game win streak?
A 3. So I mean,
at some point this season they'll have another 3-game win streak.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I'm curious actually for you guys if you could put it in the chat real quick because we're coming close to the end of the show. So I want you guys to write this in here and then we'll address it later on. Do you think that the Sharks are going to go on at least a 3-game win streak, or at least one more time before the season ends? I don't know, honestly, man. I'm not feeling it. I don't think that they will. A 3-game win streak is...
How many guys are injured right now?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to come back. They're not going to be out all season.
They'll come back, and they'll be rusty, and other guys will get traded.
Lord. Ridiculous.
And I just don't think it's... I don't think it's in the cards.
You're ridiculous.
I could be. I could be ridiculous. We'll find out as the season goes on.
Another question here from Crichton09. Do you think we'll see Musty up for a few games towards the end of the season?
Oh, I hope so.
Yes, I do too.
I hope so.
He's in the OHL, and they finish, I think, kind of the same as the NCAA. They'll finish up before the season ends, and he already signed his contract.
Yeah.
He signed before the season started. So it's funny about those contracts. Because he's under 20, he can't play. He can play in the NHL, so he could play for the Sharks right now, but he can't play for the AHL. He has to go back to his junior hockey team because they're kind of like the NCAA for basketball terms, where the players were leaving and just jumping straight to the NBA. They were just foregoing college and just going straight in. And the NCAA was like, well, we want those stars in our league, kind of like to get some revenue and all that, because it's all they care about. I hate the NCAA. I don't know if you know that. So they made a rule that they have to play 1 year of college, which is just a joke. So it's kind of the similar thing. The OHL is like, you're poaching all of our stars because all these guys are really great, and it's good for the league, for the revenue, and selling tickets and everywhere they go. So they want to hold on to them as best they can. Now, if they're ready for the NHL, it's a different story. Sure, they can go, but they're not allowed to go to the AHL. They have to report back to their junior team. Mm-hmm. So that's once their junior team, their season is over, then they can go to the Sharks. And now, I don't know, I can't remember. I think Musty would be eligible for that slide rule, right? Where they could slide the 9 games. They could play the 9 games and slide. And I just saw Debbie's comment. If they win 7+, I'll bake you guys some cookies. That's impressive.
That would be, yeah. Now I'm kind of rooting for the 7 games.
Yeah. There you go.
Kind of rooting.
Like
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. But hey, Debbie, I appreciate the thought at least. So, thanks for that. I think maybe you put that up there because you know it's not going to happen. And you don't have to bake us any cookies though. So, just saying. Again, optimistic is great, but
great. What else is
realistic?
Throw in the comments now, like what they're going to do for a 7+ game win streak.
Doesn't matter. You can say anything. It's not going to happen. Yeah, you know, for all of the talk we had about all these guys that are in the World Juniors, definitely Musty is one of those guys that we're leaving out. So let's see. Live in-person shows are so much better. Thank you all for bringing it back. Love tuning in every week. I'm the Beat Plug 831. Thank you so much for that comment, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Honestly, this is kind of why we do it live like this, is because it is a lot more fun, and when you guys get involved in it, it's definitely a good time for us as well. So thank you guys for being a part of it. Absolutely, 100% appreciate you on that one. But yes, I think. She says what? Debbie wants to know why I don't think that they're gonna get a 7-game win streak. I think it's obvious, Debbie, why I think that. But anyway, yeah, I think Musty definitely was a very exciting prospect from all of the preseason activities that we saw and whatnot.
Yes.
So I'm very much looking forward to him and his development. And you take a look at where the Sharks were just a couple years ago in terms of prospects and all that jazz. And I understand, you take a look at our current roster, you take a look at our record for the last couple seasons, the fact that we have not been a good team, et cetera, but you have to take a look at what GM Mike Greer has done with what he's had to work with, which wasn't much. Honestly, was not much.
How many contracts did he have to get out of just to get into a spot where he can be? And it was
unpopular to move Burns. It was unpopular to move Meyer. It was probably pretty popular to move Erik Karlsson. I'm just saying.
But more of the returns that they got were unpopular.
Exactly.
From a lot of people.
But you take a look at what he's been able to do with the assets that he got back, and we're talking about 6 guys at World Juniors who are playing well. Right? And they're not all going to be top 3 draft picks or whatever, right? None of them actually are. So for any of these guys to maybe pan out for the San Jose Sharks in the future, and we didn't even include Musty because he wasn't in World Juniors, right? That's a lot of players. That's 7 players right there that we're talking about that have a legitimate chance at being NHL players. Maybe not superstars, but certainly NHL caliber players. 6 plus Musty.
Oh, yeah.
That's 7.
Yeah.
Sorry. I can do math.
I didn't know you're including him.
I just what I said, 7 right there.
Yeah.
So anyway, certainly, and that's not even counting the draft picks that we will have this coming season, or this coming off season, I should say. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of promise for the future for the San Jose Sharks, and like I said, it's a great time to get in and be a fan. No one's going to say that you were a bandwagoner if you're jumping in now when the Sharks are at their absolute worst.
It's the reverse bandwagon.
It is,
because they're so bad. Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to jump on the bad team. So that way when they're good, they could say, I've been a team or a fan for
It's like you're jumping onto the rope that's hanging off the back of the bandwagon, just rocks and dirt hitting you in the face as you're sliding along.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? That's what it is. So you're a rope bandwagon fan. I'm making up my own terms again. Last week I had the tricycle in the semi, and it worked out. That was a good analogy. I don't care what you say.
Did it?
It did. I mean, I listened to it and I liked it. So at least 1 plus 1. 2-0-1 with a shutout loss is as close as we'll get to a 3-game dub streak. Yeah, okay. I mean, no, I don't know. I don't even think we'll get there, buddy. I honestly, Farscape, whatever that name was that you just pulled off screen, I don't think we even get there. So I don't know. Grandizer 12 says, Paul and Aaron, I don't think Sharks will do another win streak. Kind of upset that this team didn't build on that momentum. I don't know if that was coaching or the players or something else. Or what? What that made the then slide back to reality. Honestly,
it's like part of it is injuries. You
Yeah.
lose some guys in your lineup. That chemistry's gone. I mean, Sturm's been out for a while now, and he's been anchoring that fourth line mostly. Sometimes the third line.
Yeah.
Again, Couture's not there, but he wasn't part of that win streak. But some of those other guys, it just you lose your momentum because things change, and you're also, your team is not good.
Yeah.
And other teams are very good. So they're going to come in and beat you down, and you're going to lose, and then you kind of mentally, it's hard to break out of that losing mentality. They're on an 8-game losing streak right now.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get out of it. So a lot of hockey has to do with mental stuff. I mean, yes, it's obviously physical,
Absolutely.
but a lot of it is mental, and the skill, and even when we talked about the skill and the speed are relatively equal across the board on most teams. You're going to have your standout players, your all-star, superstar guys that will be game changers, but for the most part, it's a mental game. It's a game of mental mistakes and trying to minimize the amount of mental mistakes in order to win. And when you have a very young team that doesn't have a lot of NHL experience, especially in the defenseman department, it's not going to go well. So I think that's a big part of why things kind of switch back to the losing mentality. It's hard to get out of. It's hard to break habits, bad habits, and create new good habits. And that's what David Quinn is trying to do. So there's not like one thing. There's not one thing that you can change that would just all of a sudden the Sharks would be a much different team. You can't just take the coach out and put a new one in there. That won't do it. You can't just switch out one or two guys. That's not going to do it. It's a much more than that. So, sorry, Grandizer, I don't really have a full answer for you.
I think that was pretty full. That sounded pretty full to me. Yeah. So that's pretty good. But yeah, like you said, it's there's the mental side, there's the youth side of it, but then there's also even the veterans. Some of the veterans are maybe again just not that high caliber player, and they're going to have less consistent days and less consistent games. Maybe things lined up for those, that win streak that we had. Maybe things lined up with everybody, and the young guys are feeling confident and energized and ready to rock. But as we had just talked about, a lot of these younger guys haven't gone through the type of NHL schedule, the grind. And so for them to go through that, yeah, we got some wins, great, they're worn down, right? So that could be a big part of it too. So as much as it is mental, we also said there's a lot of the physical stuff. Some of that physical stuff is literally just, I'm drained, right? Yeah. I'm just drained. It's not that I can't physically out-battle this guy. It's that I'm just physically drained because I haven't had to go through an 82-game schedule against grown men before, and this is very difficult. So, that could certainly just be a part of it. But if I'm a Sharks fan and we go back to how do you go about watching Sharks games, I'm not watching Sharks games thinking, gosh, I can't wait to see that 3 or 7 game win streak so I can get cookies from Debbie. That's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking, again, I'm looking at the prospects and their growth. Again, for me this season, William Eklund has been the diamond, the shining star, like the reason to watch these games to see what he does.
I think Thrun's another one.
Thrun's great.
Another exciting one to watch him do well and grow his game and become more of a, not like playing so well that they can't send him down anymore. Like he's eligible to get sent down without getting. Well, he doesn't have to clear waivers, exempt,
right?
Yeah. So that would be probably the first guy up to go down as soon as some guys come off injuries. But you play well enough, you're going to stick in the lineup. Kind of like Vlasic did when he first started in the NHL. He stuck on the team because he was playing so well. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Thrun could really, what he's doing right now, I think is great. He needs to just keep it going, string it together, some more better games or not so terrible games, and stay consistent. And I think that'll be key for him. But it's exciting to watch. Pick a young guy, and watch him. Zedina is another one that I'm just rooting for. I want to see him succeed. He always gets a lot of chances every night. He just doesn't bury it. He missed one the other night, a wide open chance. Just stuff like that where I want to see them succeed. Granted, some of these guys might not even be on the Sharks in a couple seasons, Like Ferraro could be traded, but you want to see them succeed, and it's easier to do that than it is to go, man, I want to watch the Sharks win tonight, because that's probably not going to happen.
Before we get on to the upcoming games for the week, you just brought up Mario Ferraro and the possibility of him getting traded, and I do want to ask, you guys, actually, if you could put your thoughts and comments in there about Mario Ferraro getting traded. Is this something that you'd be okay with at this point? Aaron, Mario Ferraro, for me, again, one of those guys that he has the engine. But you said before that you wouldn't necessarily be overly upset to see Mario leave in the past, get moved out.
No, I mean, I don't really get upset when anyone gets traded, because to me, when you're at that level and you're in the NHL, like, there's no league past that. There's nothing past that. You're in the NHL. You don't care what team you're playing on. You are employed playing a child's game and getting paid handsomely for it. You don't care what's on your jersey. I'm not kidding. Like, you have
to call it a child's game, though.
But it's a job. It's a job. You have a job, and that is your job, is to play in the NHL.
Yes.
It's not your job to play for the Sharks. It's not your job to play for whatever team you want. It's you get to stick in the NHL. And I'm not talking the superstar players like John Tavares, when he got to choose where he wanted to go and all these teams supported him. That's very different. I'm talking about the everyday journeyman who's just making it and working their tail off to get into the NHL. They don't care what team they're on. They want to get ice time. They want to stay in the NHL as long as they can, make as much money as they can, sure. And they do want to win. I'm not saying they don't. Like, yeah, they want to win a cup and they want to get their name on the cup and have all the glory. But these guys don't have loyalty to teams. So going back to the trades, I'm excited for guys to get traded so that they can continue playing in the NHL, play for another team. That's great. I love seeing Brent Burns succeed in Carolina. I'm not rooting against him. I love seeing Pavelski. Granted, Pavelski wasn't traded, but I love seeing former Sharks players succeeding and still playing the NHL, because to me, that validates that the Sharks were right. This guy was a good player because he's still playing in the NHL for somebody else. Now you see him they trade somebody else, and the team is like, we don't want this guy. We're going to bury him in the minors because he's just not good. And then he's out of the league. It's kind of like, I guess we fleeced you on that trade. But I'm excited to see these guys keep playing, and I don't mind Ferraro getting traded. Granted, I want a decent return coming back to the Sharks for that trade, but it won't make me sad. It'll make me happy. I look at it very differently than, I guess, most people. Most fans, I guess.
Yeah, I think most fans would think that there's a much more loyalty aspect to it. And I think it's not so much a loyalty as it is just being comfortable that if this was the team that drafted you, you set up your life in that city, especially if you stayed there for a few years, right? And they're not so much loyal to the team as it is that they're just comfortable where they are, and it's a hassle to have to try to pick up and move and all that. So when you get like a team discount from a player that's been in your roster for a while, that's usually probably a big part of it, is that it's just easier for me to not have to pack up and move. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think there are some players where there's some loyalty involved in the franchise, but I don't think it's such a driving force as a fan staying loyal to a team, because obviously you live in that city. That is your city. That is your team, right? Yeah. Even when you move, it's still your city and still your team because I'm loyal, right? I'm a loyal fan. The players aren't like that, right? No. It's not in the same way.
Do you remember Joe Thornton when he got traded to the Sharks? He just signed a contract with Boston, bought this new house or apartment or something, and then gets a call a month into the season saying you're traded. It's like, what? Yeah. Like, he was this young player at the time. I think it was his first big contract, maybe a second, and thinking, I'm going to be a Bruin the rest of my life. Yeah. And then, boom, your life gets completely uplifted by a trade. So why would the players be loyal to a team when they could get traded at any second? They could get a call today. The only time they can't get a call is at Christmas time because there's a freeze. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So there's no loyalty for players to teams, just because the same way that there's no loyalty from teams to players for the most part.
Having said all that, I think just getting back to would I be upset to have Mario Ferraro leave the team? In some sense, yes, because I think he is a great player, right? I think he was second in the league, I think, in block shots now.
Well, they give up a lot of shots.
Well, they give up a lot, but still, the guy is using himself as, a human wall for any goaltender that he's playing in front of. It doesn't matter if they have the most shots against. He's getting in front of the puck, right?
Yeah.
He's deliberately throwing his body in front of that.
What was that movie? Enforcer? With Sean William Scott?
Okay.
You ever saw it?
I don't recall.
I can't remember what it's called. Enforcer. I can't remember what it's called now.
The Doug Glatt movie?
Yeah.
Or The Goon.
The Goon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Goon.
Yeah.
The Enforcer. Oh, I'm terrible. Goon. All I think about is him just blocking the shot on the goal line with his face. And just, like, when I think of Ferraro, like, he just gives everything he's got, right?
Yeah.
And it's just bloody.
And, like, why wouldn't you want that on your team, right?
Right. Yeah,
so,
absolutely,
yes, I would be like, oh, man, that sucks. Mario Ferraro's gone, right, if they had to trade him. However, I'm also fully aware that we just got done talking about Polkamp. Mm-hmm. We just got done talking about Havlid. We got done talking about Furlong. Mm-hmm. We got done talking about Gavanke and Mook Madulin. And we have Thrun, who's coming up. We've got other guys on the roster currently that are 23 years old, right? I mean, there's a lot of young defensive talent. And if moving Mario Ferraro out means that one of those guys is going to get a shot a little bit earlier, and we get something in return for his efforts, I can't say I would be too upset. Now, I would absolutely 100% miss the leadership aspect, the hard work, the hard skating. You can't replace that. Right? I mean, you can obviously if you have a guy that skates hard, but I'm just saying this is the type of thing that you want. This is the type of thing that Mike Greer wants, right?
The intangibles of the leadership in the locker room. You can't really, you can't go out and replace that easily. You can, but it's not easy. This is a guy that was...
Rest in peace, Joe Pavelski.
He's not dead.
I know, but I mean, in the locker room. I mean,
right.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
Anyway, so there you go. Oh, Zinksy says, wow, nice setup, guys. Oh, yes, welcome to the set, Zinksy. Appreciate you. So obviously we've upgraded a little bit. We'll talk about upcoming games next here, but we upgraded a little bit here. Super Producer Jason doing some fun stuff with the TV here. We'll do some stuff down here as well. But certainly it's coming together a little bit more. And Super Producer Jason, last time we said that, I said I was very happy with the set and I loved it, and he groaned. I don't know if you're feeling any better about the set today. He's is better than so I'm gonna go with he's liking it. So it'll get better
it's all right.
as time goes on.
It'll do.
It's all right. It's great.
Right. It's all right.
It's going to get even better. Not just better. It'll be even better. What is it?
It's a green screen.
It's a green screen. Okay. I don't know why. He's just throwing green screens up now. There you go. Okay. So moving on to the upcoming games for the week. Aaron, we've got, again, 3 games. The first one here, Tuesday, that's tomorrow, against Detroit in San Jose.
Yep.
Yes. And then we have one on Thursday against Winnipeg. Winnipeg, they were on a win streak last time we played them, if that's correct.
Yeah, we beat them.
And we beat them.
In fact, that was, I believe, the last win for the Sharks.
Yeah. This will be the start of our 7-game win streak right here, right? That's get
so,
those cookies ready, Debbie. I'm just saying.
Sad.
And then Saturday, again at home, against Toronto. It's a 4 p.m. game.
Early game.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one is the one when I was saying, hey, we're going to have something about soccer to talk about, because they will be giving away the Bay FC jersey, which Bay FC is the new women's soccer team for this soccer league here in San Jose. So, Eric, he's got it on the screen right there. So that is what the mock-up of the jersey looks like.
I like their logo. It reminds me of like Brooklyn. Like
Yeah.
a Brooklyn Bee kind of old school baseball Brooklyn. Oh, not the Dodgers. I don't like the Dodgers, but it's pretty cool and classy, and I think it'll last. Like it's a good thing that's not like a trendy thing. You know what I mean? Like
it'll go out of style or something.
Yeah, I think that'll be around for a while. So I'm excited. And we were actually just looking at tickets last night to possibly buy season tickets for this, but we don't know when the game times are yet. The schedule hasn't been released. But they will be playing at the Earthquake Stadium, which is PayPal Park in San Jose. It's right by the airport.
Nice.
Really cool stadium, and I'm sure they're going to be selling it out pretty well. But I love seeing this kind of crossover stuff. We've seen it now with the Warriors this season.
Yes.
Right? We've seen them do the Giants a long time ago, the Niners. I think everybody. A's.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done Raiders, though.
Good.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to now because they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Not going to work here anymore. Anyway, cool to see, and glad to see a soccer jersey for once.
Yeah. And I'm told that in this league there will be less to no flopping.
Oh God. Here we go.
I'm just throwing it out there again because I know it bothers him. In any case, yeah, definitely check that game out. I think we'll be able to get some of these, maybe a couple, and we'll try to do a giveaway in the same way that we are going to do, and I'll grab one of these right now, the giveaway for these bad boys. This was the holiday sweater jersey. So if you didn't see this last time on the show, oops, there we go, straighten it out. If you didn't see us last time, this is the jersey that was given away during the holidays there, and we have a couple of them, so we will be doing a giveaway for that. I don't know exactly when or the details. We'll iron that one out and let you guys know,
Or give us some of your ideas. What you think we should do for a giveaway?
or give us some ideas.
How should we figure out how to do it?
They're going to say give away the jersey and a $100 bill, so that's a great idea from you guys.
Cookies.
Cookies. Debbie's cookies.
Who makes the best cookies? We will be judges. You get a jersey.
Okay, I'm on board. I like that. All right, Grandizer, Malachi Nunez, Noah Claxton, all you guys better start baking quick because Debbie's got the hand up on you guys right now. I could tell. So anyway, Office Space reference.
Yes, thank you, Sean. You caught that.
Well,
Not going to work here anymore.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, for sure. We've done that a few times on this show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so definitely, if we're able to get some of those Bay FC jerseys, we'll have something for you guys with that one as well. Aaron, again, Tuesday Detroit, Thursday Winnipeg, Saturday Toronto. What are you thinking? Is this the beginning of the 7-game win streak, or are we looking at a few more losses?
God, I hope it's not a few more losses.
It's a few.
I don't know. It depends on Ferraro, really. That's going to be a killer if he's out of the lineup for a long time, because I don't know who they're going to replace him with. At least not yet. Probably Vlasic would be my guess. Get him back in the lineup, and hopefully he's been working away, so he'll come back stronger than he has been. But not looking good. Detroit's a good team, up and coming. They're kind of where I think the Sharks will be in 2 seasons from now. Kind of on their way up with all their prospects and getting a couple of the veterans in there. Mm-hmm. It is Patrick Kane signed with them, so he'll be coming to the San Jose Arena again, and he's been playing pretty well too, which is scary.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing actually because he's a guy. He had that hip surgery, and there's other players that have had that hip surgery and either retired right away because they couldn't play, or they tried playing and couldn't and stopped, and they weren't even close to what they used to be. And he is scoring some points now. So good for him. Again, going back to that, happy for people on their careers. Happy for Patrick Kane, just so he doesn't score 1 million goals against the Sharks on this trip. But yeah, that's Detroit. And then Winnipeg, I don't know, man. It's like the Sharks have their number for some reason. I don't know. Some teams are just like that. Like they just get under their skin. I don't know.
And it's funny because I mean, obviously in professional sports, but even with the kids and the tournaments and everything that they've played, and there's a team that Team A beats Team B, and we beat Team A, so it makes sense that we would beat Team B. But then all of a sudden they just come out of nowhere, and I'm like, it's not about just like, oh, if the team that we beat the other team, then we should beat them, right? It's not like that. It's rock paper scissors, right? It really is. It doesn't matter how good the other team. It's how they play against you. And so Winnipeg, for whatever reason, maybe they just don't handle young, inexperienced players as well as the veterans. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things like with like professional poker where guys are making moves that you wouldn't normally make because they're inexperienced, and so the guys that know what's going on get completely thrown off of their game because they can't read the guy that is doing some wild, weird, crazy thing. I don't know. But yeah, for some reason, I think you're right. It seems like the Sharks, at least the last time we played them, had a nice win against them. Do you think that they repeat that performance for this game, though? Or do you think Winnipeg comes back and takes the win?
I don't know. I think we'll see how the Detroit game goes first.
Okay.
But I think, 8-game losing streak, you get a couple days here. You can get a practice in at least. I think they're going to come out strong against Detroit. I think they'll come out strong against Winnipeg, and I don't know. To me, I feel like they're going to be turning it around, but
okay.
I'm just the forever optimist. So Sure, yeah. Also depends on who they're throwing in goal against the Sharks. A lot of teams put their backup goalies in. So, and I also looked, none of these teams are coming off of back-to-back. Toronto, I think, is the only team that is going to Anaheim after the Sharks game. So it's the beginning of the back-to-back. So it doesn't matter
for us. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what. So in that case, I bet Toronto plays their backup goalie. In fact, that could be Martin Jones? I think he's on Toronto right now.
Really?
And we'll have a Noah Gregor watch if he scores a goal against the San Jose Sharks. What will happen if Noah Gregor scores against the San Jose Sharks?
Tell you what, before we even go and entertain that, why don't you go ahead and look up what his goal total is now?
Noah Gregor?
Yeah, Noah Gregor. See what his goal total is. Right. And while you're going through that, I'm going to go ahead and predict that the Sharks pick up no points again this week. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. Again, Mario Ferraro being out, if we're really saying that Mario Ferraro is the glue that keeps this team from not taking an L, and he's out, I don't know. I just don't see it. So, you could bring in Marko Vlasic. Frankly, he hasn't had a good season. He's probably one of the worst seasons he's had so far, right? Burrows, I'm not even sure if Burrows, if he was just a scratch and that's it, or if he's on the IR. I don't even remember if he is or not. I know Benning is. But Burrows, you throw him back in. The last game that we talked about with him was with the -5 that he had, and he got benched. So I don't know. I don't know who you throw in that could possibly do the job that Mario Ferraro has. And even when Mario was playing, we're still losing games. So I don't know. I just don't see it. And everybody else, like I said, on the blue line, other than the 33-year-old Jan Ruda, is very, very young. So they could be running out of steam too. Again, the grind maybe hitting them. So I just don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. And unless there's some sort of a shakeup on the defensive side, and some guy comes out of nowhere, like the AHL. Let's say they bring up Gavanke, right? And then he sparks him for some reason, or Mook Madulin, he sparks him for some reason. Okay, fine. But other than that, I'm with the roster we've already seen. There's nothing here that makes me think, oh, we should take Mario Ferraro out and then we'll get a win. You know?
Right. No, I agree.
That's how I see it.
I was also wrong about the schedule.
Oh.
Toronto is, and thank you, Peter St. John, that sparked me here. It's home and home. So the Sharks are playing against Toronto this Saturday. Then they're flying to Toronto and playing them again.
Oh.
Back to back. So that'll be fun. And it was Winnipeg is the team that is playing Sharks on Thursday and then flying down to Anaheim playing them Friday. So I was wrong. But that means I bet the Sharks don't see Hellebuck playing against them. I think he's going to play against Anaheim because he'll probably play. They're playing
Lightning.
They're playing the Lightning on Tuesday. Yeah. Then they'll play the Sharks. Then they'll play Anaheim. So I bet they go Hellebuck on Tuesday and Friday. So that to me gives the Sharks possibly a better chance of winning. And Toronto, they have some rest there, so they're probably going to play, whoever they play.
I'm going to be honest with you, though. I think we've already seen the amount of shots that the Sharks have been able to put on consistently, and it is consistently lower than the competition. The goaltender will matter if you can get to him. If you can't even get to him, it doesn't matter. You can put you in net.
Right. Yeah, right. What's crazy, the Toronto Maple Leafs still only have 10 regulation wins.
Who?
The Maple Leafs only have 10 regulation wins. They're higher in the standings because they keep going to overtime.
Yeah.
But 10 regulation wins. Just for reference, the Sharks have 7. They're not much better than the Sharks. So the Sharks could push them here. That's why I'm a little more optimistic.
Okay.
And I love seeing Toronto fail. I just absolutely love it, especially on the national stage in Canada. My guess is they're going to be, because it's 4 p.m. game, I bet that's because they're Hockey Night in Canada, and they're showing that game first, and then they'll have a game after that. I bet they're the first game. That would be my guess. I don't know. I didn't look up the schedule for Canada, but that's usually what happens when Toronto comes in here. They're showcased as Hockey Night in Canada, which just messes up the game times. It's not a 7:30 start.
Gotcha. Okay. Were there any other comments regarding what people thought in terms of the win streak, or about how the upcoming games were going to go? Anything you want to call out specifically?
No, we got one from Isaiah Wynn saying, I would love to see an episode touch on what next year after roster might look like. We'll probably do that after the trade deadline because we'll know more pieces by then.
Yeah.
So that'll probably come later in the season. But yes, that's a great idea. We're also going to try and get some more people in here for interviews probably in the next month or two. So we're starting to line that up now that we have a physical space to interview them and not in the void of green screens that we've been in for years.
I actually reached out to one of our favorite reporters, and he's very interested in sitting right there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. So it should be fun. I can't wait for the season to kind of progress through and get the rest of this going more to Super Division's liking and having some more people in here on the show and having a lot more fun. So yeah, stay tuned for all of that, obviously. Any other last minute? No? You good?
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all the comments that you guys have in there that make the conversation a lot more fun. Aaron and I could sit here and talk to each other, but it's a lot more fun to include you guys. So thank you for that. Again, if you guys want to support the show, you could do that with the Super Chat function or with Venmo at the Fin Factor. You can also go to thefinfactor.com, buy any of the merch that's there to support the show link, and any of that stuff obviously goes to supporting the show. So if you'd like to do that and get something in return, that is the best place to do it. And of course, if you are not subscribed, I don't know why. We do the show once a week. It's not like we're doing it once every day and just filling you guys up. So when we go live, you'll know when we go live. Why are you shaking your head?
Can you imagine doing a show every day on the Sharks?
That would be nuts.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be really hard to do.
You'd run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I think our shows would probably not be an hour and 20 long. Though.
No,
It'd be about 10 minutes.
But it would be more off the rails, I think, than it is
out.
now.
Yes. If you're not subscribed again, we only do the show like once a week. So we're not going to bombard you. We're just going to have a one therapy session a week for about an hour or so, and you guys are welcome to join. So there you go.
Also, Spotify. We're trying to boost our numbers on Spotify since it's kind of relatively new. So we'll plug that a little bit. Find us on Spotify. Just type in the Fin Factor, and we should pop right up, and you'll find us.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think that is the end of the show. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Do appreciate you guys being here. Certainly looking forward to the rest of the season, and I cannot wait until we have some really big news with trade deadline and all that stuff coming up. But it is coming up fairly soon, so not a couple months, but still fairly soon. I think some trades will get done before the trade deadline.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see something soon, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Well, with all that said, again, thank you guys so much. For super producer Jason, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.